questions then on the big farm debate. Have the farmer protests now become a case of pure politics? Is the Congress seeking to ride piggyback on farmer anger to target the Modi government? Is the Modi government simply implementing what has already been promised all these years by the UPA? Is this political opportunism by the Congress, or is it adamancy on the part of the Modi government? Just some of the questions we'll raise today. I'm joined by Sudhanshu Trivedi, BJP's Rajya Sabha MP, Supriya Srinath, Congress spokesperson, and Yogendra Yadav, President Swaraj India. I appreciate all three of you joining us. Supriya Srinath, let me start with you, because the accusation against the Congress is you are doing nautanki or drama. Your youth Congress leaders bring a tractor to India Gate, bring it down and then burn it, only to, in a way, create some kind of a stir. This is drama. This is not really farmer protest. This is Congress trying to ride in some way on some element of farmer anger, that too in a couple of states like Punjab and Haryana.
Thank you for inviting me on the show, Rajdeep. I mean, one thing is certain, that nobody can deny people the right to protest, including the Indian farmers and politicians. Now, this was a symbolic gesture. To the best of my knowledge, as I've been told and it has been reported, it was an old tractor, but it has grabbed the attention. And I'm not saying yours, but of many other news networks who wouldn't touch the story with a barge pole otherwise. So I'm glad at least the issue is being debated. The reality is that the farmer bills that have been brought in, the law that has been changed, is extremely anti-farmer. And the farmer is up in arms. This protest is no longer restricted to just Punjab and Haryana. It's happening in Lucknow, in Andhra Pradesh, in Haryana, in Agratala, you name the place, and farmers
are they farmers or are they political activists of the Congress? Are they farmers or are they political activists of your party, ma'am?
No, absolutely there are farmers. There are absolutely farmers all over the country who are up against this. Within 5 days of when these bills were signed, the farmers were out on the streets. 250 farmer organizations have been protesting tooth and nail. Politicians, of course, give a voice to this protest, and I don't think we can be denied that right. But the reality is that the farmers in this country are being shortchanged, and if we are expected to look the other way, we're not prepared to do so, because we're not the BJP. We take our people into consideration. We will take and keep the farmers' interests alive and topmost. We are not like the BJP who's going to roughshod over farmers for some petty corporate interests.
I'll come to that argument that you make about that this is being done for petty corporate interests. But Sudhanshu Trivedi, the politics of it, has somewhere the BJP failed to recognize that farmers need to be spoken to. You need to interact with them. You can't just bring in the law and then say we will talk to the farmers, then the Prime Minister addresses the nation. You have to take the farmers into confidence. Somewhere that has been missing. That's why the farmers today feel, maybe a section of them, that the government is anti-farmer. Koi baat to kare unse.
Yes, Rajdeep, you have raised a very valid question and I will answer properly. But first I would like to comment. देखिए सुप्रिया जी के मुंह से बात निकल गई ना, कहते कहते दिल की बात जुबान पे आ ही गई कि अगर ये ट्रैक्टर नहीं जला होता तो शायद मीडिया में ये न्यूज़ ही नहीं बनती. It is very clear now that this was just to make the media news, not about the serious thing as far as the political or the farmers' genuine case is concerned. Rajdeep, there's so many visuals which have been shown in your TV set. Congress flags, CPM flags, JDS flags. Where are farmers? When CA&RC was going on, they were claiming there is no party flag. This is a genuine movement. Today, everywhere is a party flag. It is a genuine movement. So I am unable to understand what is their fundamental logic is. And as far as the consultation is concerned, Rajdeep, I would like to remind, when we made our manifesto, we have put consultation from every district of the country. We have taken 4 crore feedback, 40 million feedback, and then formulated our manifesto. So nobody can say that they were not, and even the blind ballot boxes were there. Anybody can come.
Sir, your own ally has left you. But your own ally, if you cannot convince your own ally, the Akalis, how will you convince the farmers?
But the politics is, I would just like to quote one sentence, and if you can understand this, the Congress will repeal the Agriculture Produce Market Committee Act and make the trade in agriculture produce, including the export and interstate trade, free from all restrictions. The Congress manifesto. After whose consultation you have written? On your own. The Essential Commodities Act 1955 belongs to the age of control, and Congress will demolish it. Finally finish it. भाई हमने तो कंसल्ट करके किया था, आपने कंसल्ट करके किया या नहीं? तो मेरा तो सिर्फ ये कहना है, वहां भी केवल लिखने के लिए लिखा था यहाँ भी लिखने के लिए लिखा, we have done a serious consultation, making a manifesto, we committed, we done it, and exactly what they are doing. Communist Party is asking question, is there agriculture, APMC Act is there in Kerala?
Can I please come in?
I want an answer.
Okay,
yes no.
Supriya Srinath, you can now come in to answer the basic question, which I've been asking for a few days now, that the Congress is being accused of hypocrisy. That you, in your manifesto, did also want the dismantling and the repeal of the APMC Act to break, in a way, the monopoly of the mandis. So today, when Narendra Modi does it, why attack him?
I'm glad that question is being asked because the BJP has done some selective reading and quoting of our manifesto. And because I take special interests in the written word, I will tell you what we said, which Mr. Trivedi will of course not quote to you. In our manifesto, we have categorically stated that there should be development of many more accessible markets for the farmers in small towns, in large villages, and once that is done, APMC Act can be repealed. There is no denying that agriculture needs reforms, but you need to take step number 1 to 10 to get to the pedestal of step number 11. You cannot roughshod over 1 to 10 and get to 11. That's what the BJP is doing. Create markets, ensure there is an MSP, and I will just say one thing. If Mr. Modi is so serious about ensuring MSP, like Mr. Trivedi and his other...
Okay, your image seems to have... Yes.
Produce below the MSP. That's all that we are saying. That's all that we are asking for. And I'm glad Mr. Trivedi is saying what he is, because they are really not smelling the coffee, sir. And the coffee, if you smell it, will tell you that farmers are up in arms against you all over the country. I am glad you are roughshodding them, because they are going to teach you a lesson like nothing else will. Wait and watch.
Okay, wait and watch. They will teach you a lesson. I'll come back to the BJP Congress in a moment. But to be fair, Yogendra Yadav is someone who has been raising farm issues for a long time. Yogendra Yadav, do you believe that these protests are just political theatre, or is there something more to it, Mr. Yadav, that it requires, in a way, this kind of burning of a tractor at India Gate to draw media attention? Or do you believe this is genuine farmer anger? Is it only confined to a few states and a few crops?
Rajdeep, it was very amusing to listen to Mr. Trivedi. Now I can understand a North Indian politician who is not familiar with what happens in South India. And incidentally, that is the problem that most allies have with BJP, who doesn't recognize flags. It so happens that I not only recognize flags, I actually recognize the person your correspondent was speaking to. That is Mr. Nagendra, who is the president of Karnataka Rajya Ragyat Sangha, founded by Nanjudaswamy. Nothing to do with Congress, nothing to do with BJP. These are people who for last 25 years have opposed all regimes. It so happened that on 25th, I traveled about 200 kilometers in Haryana and in Punjab. Narwana, Ratia, Mansa, and finally up to Patiala. I can tell you, not a single Congress banner. There was one Akali Shamiana minus the farmers, but there was one Akali Shamiana, not a single Congress flag. And the organizations which have actually been leading the fight are the ones who were gheraing Mr. Amrinder till 6 months ago. So where is the Congress? And incidentally, Rajdeep, if Congress had that kind of capacity to create farmers' movement in the country, it wouldn't be sitting with 50 MPs in the Lok Sabha. So let's get real. The issue is not whether Congress is or any other opposition party is not trying to benefit. Of course, every opposition party tries to benefit from any movement which is real, which is on the ground. The real question is the entire movement sponsored, ignited, created, faked by Congress? Now, you really have to be a real Gandhi loyalist to believe that Congress has the capacity to create anything like this. At least I don't.
No, but the real question also is, Yogendra Yadav, whether outside Punjab and Haryana there is any popular anger. Let's be very clear, Nanjudaswamy has in the past also objected to any attempt in a way to open up the farm sector. So it's not his group when he was, there. So it's not as if that these are old positions which appear to have got a new, in a sense, momentum because of what the government has done.
Of course, these are very old positions. And of course, what the government has done is something which has rattled the farmers. So the real issue is, have these three laws rattled the farmers? And the simple reason, Rajdeep, is that farmers feel that it is bad faith. It is brought in at the time of a pandemic, during lockdown, 3 legislations which have nothing to do with pandemic, with lockdown or farmers' needs, brought in without consultation. I would like Mr. Trivedi to please name 2 farmer organizations which his party consulted before the ordinance or even after the ordinance. The manner in which it was pushed through the Lok Sabha, the shameful episode in Rajya Sabha, and the fact that they are legally also doubtful. So obviously farmers feel something is strange, something is amiss.
But I will still ask you, Yogendra Yadav, when you say farmers feel something is amiss, are we talking of all farmers or a small group of farmers who benefit from rice and wheat MSP? There are other farmers who are cash crop growing farmers who may have a very different view. I had Mr. Chengal Reddy on my program a few days ago, a farmer from South India who had a very different view, said, why not, why shouldn't farmers try and take advantage of these laws?
Rajdeep, that is why I'm saying, and I'm saying with full responsibility, please bring 2 farmer organizations with some mass base on the program who defend this. Even the RSS is unable to defend it. Kisan Sangh of the Bharatiya Kisan Sangh of the RSS is unable to defend it. No farmer organization with any following is able to defend it. This is not just Haryana, Punjab. As you yourself said, this we in All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee, which is a group of about 200 plus farmers organizations, we have got reports. Last when I saw the reports were from nearly 10,000 spots in the country where the Bandh was observed on the 25th. Ever heard of farmers protesting against a bill within 5 days of its being passed? It was such a spontaneous upsurge. I was traveling. Farmers without any organizational banner. They had created barriers outside the village. I said, कौन से organization के हैं? कहते जी कोई organization नहीं, हमें नहीं पता, सरकार कुछ गड़बड़ कर रही है और हमने organization छोड़ी, हम खड़े हो गए.
सरकार कुछ गड़बड़ कर रही है, meaning what? Are the farmers being misled or are the farmers convinced that this is not in their interest?
Yes.
Rajdeep, any regime, this is the last argument of any regime. Now just imagine if the government says they are bringing a great legislation for freedom of media and journalists, and you find all the journalists on the street, what would the government say? They are being misled. The simple answer is farmers have genuine and real apprehensions. The real apprehension is number 1, that the mandis will not be officially dismantled, but within 2 or 3 years, they would start crumbling because of the uneven competition they would have to face. The real fear is that the government is going to withdraw from investment. The real fear is that the MSP regime will never be officially withdrawn. But because you would not have APMCs, MSPs would become redundant. These are the real genuine apprehensions.
Let Sudhanshu Trivedi, you've heard Yogendra Yadav, and there is something to be said that the government in a pandemic, without adequate consultation, brings in these farm reforms. Is this the moment to do it? At a time when the farmers actually need income support. This is not the moment surely to scare the farmers. Even let's assume that they are being misled. In a pandemic, is this the time to do it when supply links have broken in any case, Mr. Trivedi?
Rajdeep, in this pandemic, we have just a couple of days back announced the MSP, the revised MSP. And we have provided so much, 80 crore people were provided food. Farmers were given 6,000 rupees. Ujjwala Yojana, there were 8 crore women were given free cylinder. Till the month of November, it's not the issue. But I am amazed that such a well-read person like Mr. Yogendra Yadav was unable to quote a clear-cut sentence from the act that does any sort of damage to it. And he was saying, quoting one person, I have not said that no farmer organization is there. He has got stuck to that Karnataka leader. Yes, of course. But how he is deliberately or deceitfully lost the both things, the vision and the voice. Supriya Shine ji herself was defending the act of the Youth Congress. And he's saying no politics. And you can go back and you see the
I still ask you, has the government pushed through, rushed through something without thinking it through?
Now coming to the government, whatever we have done with proper consultation when our manifesto was made. आपने पूछा कि जब जिस समय 370 या ट्रिपल तलाक करा था फिर रेफरेंडम कराया जाए? नहीं, हम तो पूछ के करते हैं. I've said 4 crore feedbacks were there. So we have taken a proper consultation, and finally what we say, we do. It's not like others that they say something else and do something else. And finally I would like to ask, is APMC Act there for food and vegetable in Punjab? Say yes or no. And if APMC Act is there in Kerala, say yes or no.
Supriya Srinath, at the end of the day...
Rajdeep, can I please just add one sentence?
Yes, please do. Please do.
I just have one thing to ask Mr. Trivedi. Bihar is a state where there is no mandi, right? And the average income of a farmer in Bihar is 1,652 rupees. In Punjab, it is 12,481 rupees. Does the government not want to end this disparity? And it is because Bihar, the procurement happens at all sorts of prices, and then the same procurement is gone and sold in other places at exorbitant rates. Instead of ring fencing and protecting the farmer, you are actually exposing him to exploitation. And one more thing I will say in the less than 10 seconds. You accuse us because you do selective reading of our manifesto. What about the statements made by Mr. Jaitley and Ms. Sushma Swaraj, God bless both their souls, because it almost seems that your stand on this issue is on matters of where you sit in parliament. You were tooth and nail opposed to dismantling of the APMC. You even said this is the ATM. Today your position has completely changed, even though we were not going to dismantle the APMC the way you are going to do it. So there is a lot of double-speak and hypocrisy on that end, because they don't realize 80% of India's farmers have land holdings of less than 2 acres. You are going to put them without any ring fencing before huge corporates, and I don't know what chances and ring fencing do they have with negotiations. You are expecting them to go and appeal their cases with SDMs. What are we talking about?
Sudhanshu Trivedi, is the farmer being, while I think most people would support the opening up of markets. When you open up markets, you also need a safety net. The concern is, where is the safety net?
The safety net is, number 1, nothing can be done on the land. Number 2, in case of failure of agreement, only the input cost can be retrieved. Number 3, in a case of any conflict, the judgment has to be in 30 days. And Rajdeep, I would like to remind, when the private TV channels came in 1998, you were in the first 24-hour private TV channel. ये दूरदर्शन बंद हो गया क्या? Is it improved or gone back? Private universities and colleges came in 91. Betterment हुआ कि कम हुआ? अरे पहले घड़ी भी बनती थी सरकार से, HMT, TV भी बनता था सरकार से, Uptron.
Sir, across the world, farmers get protected.
Everything else.
Sir, we cannot compare. Surely, we cannot compare the opening up of Doordarshan.
Including
We
developed
cannot just
nations.
minute, ma'am. We are now comparing the.
Including developed nations, protects its farmers.
Okay.
भाई आपने लिखा क्यों है, मुझे ये बता दीजिए. और
Come on, Mr. Trivedi, are you going to compare private channels to farmers?
Whether in fruit and vegetable APMC Act is there or not in Punjab, say yes or no. And whether APMC Act is there in
Mr.
Kerala,
Trivedi,
yes
I'm asking
or no.
you a simple question.
What is the simple?
That's a simple question.
Mr.
Say yes or
Trivedi,
no.
I'm asking you a simple question. And the question is, you are, 1 second, chillaiye mat. Why are you shouting up? Chillaiye mat. Please answer a simple question. Are you going to compare private TV channels entry and Rupert Murdochs of the world to India's farmers? Just answer that, because that is where the answer to my question lies. You see agriculture and farms through tinted glasses of corporates. Because it's a 25 lakh crore business that it generates, you want to get the corporates in somehow, and that is exactly what you're doing. And I'm telling you one thing, I am not against reforms.
Many corporates are already there in Punjab.
But guarantee the farmer protection.
Okay.
Rajdeep,
yes.
I have asked thrice, but Supriya ji was unable to give an answer whether Punjab is having. Okay, leave it. But I want an answer. If somebody is having problem, ye contract kheti. Batai kya? What is batai? This is not contract farming without any legal cover. Say yes or no.
Sir, no. Sudhanshu ji, I don't think you have exposure to Indian agriculture at all then.
80% kheton mein batai hoti hai.
While we will rather, this is not the channel that wants to promote noise.
Sir,
we want to hear both sides. Just a minute, ma'am. Just a minute. Yogendra Yadav, I turn to you whenever I need to break away from the noise of the BJP-Congress battle, the truth is the farmer has, in a way, never got the kind of remunerative prices he or she desperately needs. Their incomes have not been doubled. Farming is becoming unremunerative. Let's be honest. Young people are leaving farming. All our polls show many young sons and daughters of farmers don't want to do farming. There's a larger structural crisis. Is that going to be looked at or not?
And that's a real point, Rajdeep. The real thing is not Congress versus BJP. That's a sideshow, that's a red herring. But the real issue is state versus the farmers. That's the real battle we are witnessing. You are absolutely right. Indian farming faces a structural crisis. And the trouble is no one is interested in responding to it because that would require money. The trouble is no government has the political will to put in serious amount of money. Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi was mentioning all those things, which are routine policies of the government. There's nothing new here. Solving the problem of farmers, and remember, in every single country all over the world, and I'm serious about it, there's not a single country today where agriculture is not seriously subsidized. The problem in our country is that farmers get negative subsidy, and this is not a metaphor. This is out of a study created by ICRIER and OECD. Farmers have been penalized in this country. No government has the political will to actually convert it into a positive subsidy, which is what the farmers need. So every now and then you come up with these flimsy solutions because it won't cost my pocket anything. I don't want to spend anything, but I want to be seen to be doing something to farmers. I want to gift them something which they never asked for. I want to gift them something which they are resisting. I want to be seen as a great reformer. The real problem is that there is no will to address the real questions. Yes, agriculture needs to be reformed. Yes, APMCs need to be reformed. If you want to reform APMCs, why is it that BJP itself has not implemented the model APMC Act brought in by Mr. Vajpayee's government? Yes, contract farming needs to be looked at. For Mr. Trivedi's benefit, there is not one single word in this law about batai and thekedari that you spoke about. You should read the law before commenting on these things. The real issue is that farmers are feeling neglected, and the little protection they had, the little roof that they had over their head, which was a leaky roof, it's a kacha roof, it's a leaky roof. BJP seems to be saying to them, or that's what the farmers are hearing, that the roof is very bad, it's leaky, it's patchy. Let's do away with the roof at all. You can see stars, you can see blue sky. That would be freedom. Farmers are saying, no, we don't need that freedom.
Let me leave it there. I've heard three clear...
Rajdeep, I want to say one sentence.
You will have one sentence only.
One sentence I would like to say.
Yes.
Yogesh Yadav ji has said, not even a single word of batai, sir, you go. There is a provision of three-party agreement. The owner, the person doing farming, and the trader. So there is a clear-cut provision of three-party agreement also, which includes the batai person. So that's why I am saying. And also, read December
just ask Mr. Trivedi.
WTO agreement, which the UPA has done, and what we have vetoed in July 2014 in Bali. Otherwise, by this time, we would not have been in a position to give MSP. We would have been legally bound.
Okay.
I will ask the
gentlemen, I'm going to call time out on this debate because I want to leave it here. I think we've heard three clear views. It is obvious that the farmer issue is not going away. The Kisan today controls 70%, in a way, 70% of our households have some links to agriculture or the other, and we cannot ignore it. And I'm glad in a way that it's taken some of these protests for us in the media to start looking at this issue seriously, to start examining the farm reform laws more seriously.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.